Pau, PNU. I will be your guide today at Codorníu, and the first thing that we're going to do in this tour is see a brief video, which is 2 minutes, to learn a little bit about the house, a little bit about Codorníu, so then you will have no information, you won't go blind to the tour directly, okay?
Dicen que para saber a dónde vamos, debemos entender primero de dónde venimos. La nuestra es la historia de la bodega más antigua de España. 18 generaciones de pasión por la tierra. 500 vendimias sabiendo que la naturaleza te devuelve lo que le das. 3000 hectáreas de viñedo en propiedad, el más grande de Europa. Herederos de un hogar, de un oficio y de un territorio que sostiene las raíces de nuestras 15 bodegas. Y movidos por un solo propósito: dar valor a la tierra. Dar valor a la uva que crece en ella, a las manos que la cultivan y a la tradición de este oficio centenario. Dar valor al territorio que acoge nuestros viñedos y al planeta que lo sustenta. Y dar valor a la comunidad, al tejido social que a nuestro alrededor se genera. Dar valor a la tierra es el propósito que define quiénes somos y que se transforma, uva a uva, en un sello único: Raventós Codorníu. ¿Quién podría imaginar que de aquella primera viña en Sant Sadurní d'Anoia cosecharíamos tantos frutos extraordinarios? Fundamos la bodega más antigua de España, creadora del cava. Embotellamos el primer vino del Priorat. Construimos una catedral inimaginable. Incluso convertimos todo un desierto en un mar de viñas. Hemos sabido crecer juntos para hacer más grande la historia del cava. Y juntos la hemos reescrito una y otra vez. Hemos cruzado fronteras, abrazando lo mejor de cada tierra y de cada rincón, para alcanzar la cúspide. Un maravilloso camino de más de 5 siglos y un equipo de más de 600 personas que soñamos con seguir creciendo desde la sostenibilidad económica, social y medioambiental. Regenerar este legado de valor, celebración y tradición es nuestra razón de ser, lo que nos alzó en 2021 como líderes mundiales de cava ecológico y lo que nos convertirá en la mejor empresa de vinos del mundo y para el mundo. Podríamos simplemente hacer vino, pero elegimos dar valor a la tierra. No forcéis jamás a la naturaleza si no queréis caer vencidos en una lucha contra lo imposible. Manuel Raventós.
The visit from inside, we will go to the same places but inside, but I don't know if that's fine for you still while it's not raining a lot. Yeah?
Yes.
It's if anyone has a problem, we'll just go straight inside. Yep. Okay, so we'll talk about history. We have 4 important dates that summarize it. First one is 1551. If you turn to the right, this is the home that in 1551 Jaume Codorníu built for himself and his family once he bought this property to start in the business of wines and miscellars. The second date is 1659, when Anna Codorníu married Miquel Raventós, so the surname of the family, the last name, changed. Then in 1872, Josep Raventós made the first bottle of cava. So that's the year of creation of cava and the year we became the oldest cava in Spain. And finally, in 1885, Manuel Raventós inherited the cavas from his father, and he decided to expand them. To do so, he got in touch with 2 important architects of the modernism. Let's talk about Puig and Cadafalch first, one of them. One of his designs are the reception, with this shape of the ceiling called La Volta Catalana, the stone structures called pinnacles, and also the trencadís, sticking broken pieces of together, made in the windows. Another design of Puig and Cadafalch is right behind me. Is the tower house, our restaurant today, and it's in fact the old Raventós' family home. This was the Codorníus, this is the Raventós. Why so? So because of the surname change, once this property was built, it was the Raventós', well, in fact, Manuel Raventós, who built this property with Puig and Cadafalch, okay? So that means that's a home from the modernism expansion of 1885, and it was finished back in 1906. So what we're going to do right now is take a quick walk around the the Raventoses family home gardens, and then we will go to see Lluís Bonet i Garí's designs. Okay? Is that fine for you?
Yes.
So, come on. So we have this big collection of bottles that in fact is the official types of sizes of the bottles of cava. We start in the smallest one, which is called octavo, and this is called Benjamin, medium size, standard size, and the magnum size. This is the one that you usually buy, 0.75 liters, and this is 1.5. So we'll skip this one to talk about these two. This is called Matusalén and has a very special use. Do they remind you of anything?
Special.
Yeah. Is anyone here a fan of Formula 1?
Yeah.
Races? So these are the two sizes. Yeah, exactly. The two sizes that they use to celebrate when a racer has the victory of the race. And this is the biggest size, which is called primato. And if anyone guesses the actual liters that can be fit here, the exact number, I'm thinking.
We're gonna have free wine. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to pour more wine in the glasses. Of their glasses. If he or she drives, I will not. Okay? It's just for precaution. For caution. Come on, say numbers out loud. No idea?
25?
What?
25?
Close, but a little bit more.
30.
35.
A little bit less.
28.
26.
27? Who said 27? Okay, perfect. Well, in fact it's 26 and a half, but I usually say 27. Can be fit in primato. In fact, it was always used as a functional purpose, never on sale, or as we say here, for family use, okay? So you know how much fun they had, right? You will ask, Pau, what does this room have to do with cava? Well, in fact, you're right, very little, and in fact it was a room that we stopped because of its historical importance. In Spain there was a civil war between 1936 and 1939, and after the war there was a period where many sources were cut from the people, such as light and electricity. That's why the Rodriguez family decided to build this dynamo, this generator, to produce light and electricity for the cava's buildings, and if extra light was produced, it was given to the town nearby, in Codorníu, okay? Plou una mica, si obrís una ràpid. Vale, listo. Back in, as I said, 1872. So imagine yourselves this year, a little man called Josep Raventos making the first bottle here with local varieties. So this is a place, and in fact, it gives a very important and special place in Codorníu's heart. Why so? Here we keep our top cavas. For example, our first one is called 459, top two are the qualified ones, and then another limited editions and big reserves. What's that about the reserve? It's in fact the next step of the process. We said above that we put the bottle with yeasts, sugars and the wine with the two pieces of the provisional block. So the bottle is carried downstairs and put in horizontal position. For example, here in the right you have an example, or behind this structure you also can see the bottles completely laying down. Like kind of they are resting, right? They are sleeping. Well, in fact, they are aging. A young cava stays like that between 9 and 18 months. Reserve cava between 18 and 30 months. Big reserve, more than 30 months, with no maximum. The technical name for this position is called rima, and in fact here we have cavas of very longevity. For example, I said the top one has been aging since 2010, so that's more than 14 years of aging. I'm 19, so I'm as young or as old as the oldest cava? That's a question for you. Oh, you're already here. Here we are. How did the stairs go? Well, right? They were not like I painted them, right? Well, in fact, what you have seen in the middle. So now that we are in the cavas, let's talk about them. We're in the level -4. So that means 4 levels, 3 more above us. So these 4 levels fulfill 3 very important conditions for the second fermentation, for the bottle. The first one is space. If you add these 4 levels in a straight line, you get 30 kilometers of cava. A pretty long extension, right? Imagine a number in your head. Now multiply it by a lot because the actual capacity of these 4 levels are 90 million bottles of cava. So obviously a very big capacity. In fact, the cavas, because our annual production goes between 35 and 40 million bottles, are only full to the 40–50%, okay? So the second condition, well, let's talk about this first condition as well. Space, and also the cavas are designed like a system, like a city, because obviously with so much bottles and so much kilometers, we had to locate ourselves or even the cava that we were working with. So that's why the cavas were designed like a city. For example, this street receives the name of Alfonso XIII, the king of the tasting. This other cava is named Montserrat, after the big sacred mountain, and also because it's in a straight line to it, we have different names that the workers use like a map. The second condition is the temperature. It's always between 15 and 17 degrees Celsius, so a very moderate, stable temperature that it's kept naturally because of the wet conditions down, like down here. And the third condition, it's obvious. Well, underground, there's no sunlight directed to it, so we can keep a certain level of darkness, of little light, that helps that no chemical alteration is produced inside the bottles. So we'll talk about the next step of the process. We said that the bottles do the aging, like they are laying down, but now it's time to take out the yeast. Why so? So during the aging, the yeast has eaten the sugars, has created the natural bubble, and it dies when it has no sugars left. So that's why this dead yeast becomes a sediment that we have to take out from the bottle. Previously to get to do that, we have to get this dead yeast down in the neck, like stuck in the neck, making a plug. And that is accomplished with all the structures that we see around, which are called pupitres. They are usually made by stone or wood, and you start in the deepest level, and as you go higher, the inclination is bigger. So in between 15 and 21 days, the dead yeast is finally stuck in the neck, this sediment. Also, this technique is helped with remuage, which means basically turning the bottles around. Here it's done almost twice a day, not on weekends, just weekdays, and that's why the process lasts between 15 and 21 days. Okay, but because of this, it's just from 100 bottles of capacity and also requires manual workers, we designed a machine called Giro Palette that does the same process in packs of 800 bottles, but in just one day and automatically. So obviously this increased the efficiency and the production, but the Giro Palette is used for the widest and most exported collections such as Anna Cuvée. For example, the 3 cavas that you're trying today are from our collection Ars Collecta, with our 9 best cavas that are still done the traditional method of pupitre. Okay? Neck of the bottle under. It creates a block of ice inside the bottle that catches the dead yeast. So when we turn around the bottle and take out the provisional plug, the block of ice jumps with the sediment, leaving a clean bottle of cava, which is called Brut Nature, with no sugars added. If we want a sweeter cava, we have to add what's known as dosage liquor, a mix of reserve wine, sugars, and a secret ingredient different for each house, like Coke and Pepsi, right? Now we have a wider classification starting from Brut Nature, brut, dry, semi, and sweet. But be careful with some sweets. Here we don't produce them anymore because they can contain up to 60 grams per liter of sugar. I know my English is bad, but it's not 16, it's 60, 60, okay? So it's kind of like a sugar explosion. That's why here we have been focusing the past years on Brut and Brut Nature cavas. Very, very, very small, like little concentration of sugar. In fact, the 3 ones that you're going to try are Brut. So this is the old system of manual sorting. We cut the provisional plug, turn the bottle upside down, let the dead yeast out, put the finger to put the dosage liquor to sweeten the cava. It was put here in the glass pot and laid out depending on the type of the cava that we wanted. As we continue, we have these 2 machines to insert, to put in, and to finally hold the final plug, the cork. Then the machine to put this protection, this metal protection for the final plug, which is called morrión. And the people that know Spanish know that this word is also used for when you take your dog for a walk and you want it to not bite. So that's kind of the same, right? The protection so the bottle doesn't open. And finally we have the labeling machine to put the paper with the characteristics of the cava with information, so the bottle could be sent finally to expedition and then finally to go on sale. But well, you're here, and what do you want a bottle of cava for?
To drink.
To drink, right? If you want my license, I have a copy upstairs, but now you're in the train, so I think it's not needed, okay? Hope that you enjoy it.
Thank you, thank you.
It's a reserve from 2020. So it started aging when we're all in lockdown, so how convenient that we have today to enjoy it, right? So cheers for everyone, you can get the first glass. And as you can see, you have 3 types of cheeses. I don't know if they're in order, but I will tell you it, okay? The first one is the whiter one, the clearer one, which is goat cheese. The second one will be the longer one, which is manchego. And the third and last one is the one with a more intense color, in a triangular shape, which is Mahon cheese. Mahon is a city from Menorca, and it's rather a strong cheese, okay? Yeah, it is. In fact, well, it's a big reserve. But well, here's... I'm spoiling too much. So the cava that I'm serving right now, you can see from the shape, it's a more traditional cava. In fact, it's called Jaume da Codorníu in honor of the first owner of the cavas. This cava has our best selection of grapes. We have Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Xarel·lo in just one bottle of cava. It's a big reserve from 2018, and this cupada is very special because the citric intense flavor of Xarel·lo and the long and elegant aftertaste of Chardonnay. So let me finish serving it, and then you can get the second glass. It's a brut cava as well as the first one, so very little sugar. So the explosion, this maximum expression of Codorníu, it's called the cake cava. Why so? Because this mixing offers a taste of dry fruit, of nutty, this toasty flavor that is very characteristic of this cava. It's a big reserve from 2015, and it's also a brut cava. So that hope that you enjoy it. This is the grand finale. So thank you very much, everyone.